Ethan had always been a man of routine. His days were predictable, his life orderly, and that was how he liked it. He lived in an old, creaky house at the edge of town, where the forest met the hills. The house had been in his family for generations, and it was the only place he had ever called home. It was quiet there, and solitude was his closest companion. Every evening, Ethan would light the fire in his stone fireplace, settle into his worn leather armchair, and immerse himself in a book. The world outside faded as he lost himself in tales of distant lands, grand adventures, and the lives of characters that were far more exciting than his own. Occasionally, the wind would howl outside, or an owl would hoot in the distance, but nothing disturbed his peace. That night, however, something was different. The wind seemed to carry with it a strange, unsettling energy. Ethan felt it as he sat by the fire, the flames casting dancing shadows on the walls. He tried to focus on his book, but the words blurred before his eyes. A feeling of unease crept over him, as if something was about to happen. Just as the clock struck midnight, there was a knock at the door. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. He wasn't expecting anyone, and it had been years since anyone had visited him unannounced, especially at such a late hour. For a moment, he considered ignoring the knock, but curiosity got the better of him. Slowly, he rose from his chair and made his way to the door. The old wooden floorboards creaked under his weight. He hesitated for a moment before opening the door just a crack. The night air was cold, and a thick mist had settled over the town. Standing on his doorstep was a young woman, her pale face framed by long dark hair that clung to her skin in the damp air. "Please, may I come in?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. There was something almost otherworldly about her, a fragility that made Ethan's heart ache. He nodded and opened the door wider, stepping aside to let her in. As she crossed the threshold, Ethan noticed her clothes were strange, an old-fashioned dress that seemed out of place in the modern world. "Thank you," she said, her voice soft and musical, though tinged with a sadness that made Ethan uneasy. "Are you lost?" Ethan asked as he led her to the fireplace, where the warmth of the flames quickly enveloped them. "Yes," she replied, though the way she said it made Ethan wonder if she was speaking of more than just her physical location. "I was walking through the woods and I lost my way." Ethan offered her a seat in his armchair, but she refused, preferring to sit on the floor by the fire. He couldn't help but watch her as she held out her hands to warm them, her delicate fingers trembling slightly. "What's your name?" he asked, trying to make sense of the strange encounter. "Lily," she said, her eyes never leaving the fire. Ethan tried to think of anyone in town named Lily, but no one came to mind. He was certain he had never seen her before, and in a town as small as theirs, strangers were rare. "Where are you from, Lily?" She looked at him then, her eyes dark and full of something Ethan couldn't quite place. "From a place far away," she said, her voice distant. They fell into silence after that, the only sound the crackling of the fire. Ethan wanted to ask her more, to understand who she was and why she was here, but something held him back. There was a mystery about Lily, one that he felt he shouldn't disturb. As the night wore on, they talked more, though Lily mostly listened. Ethan told her about his life, about the house and how it had been passed down through his family. He spoke of his solitary existence, of the quiet that surrounded him each day, and how he found comfort in the familiarity of it all.